Hello, everyone, and welcome to Elevate Your Business. I'm Ed Jarecki, and I'm thrilled to guide you through today's episode. It's designed to inspire and empower you on your journey to business success. Today, we're joined by a modern-day sage and spiritual explorer who has traversed the landscape of both Eastern and Western wisdom traditions, Andrzej Michal Koslowski, referred to as Baby Lama. From Christian exorcists to Shaolin masters, Andrzej has studied under an impressive array of spiritual experts, pushing the boundaries of human potential through extreme practices like extended fasting and winter mountain climbing. But don't mistake a spiritual journey for escapism. This enlightened seeker has also excelled in the corporate world as a high-end IT manager and successful entrepreneur. Now managing real estate investments from his base in Thailand, he embodies a balance of spiritual growth and worldly success. Prepare to be captivated by profound insights and compelling stories as we welcome our guest, who reminds us that true wisdom lies in changing ourselves rather than the world around us. So let's welcome Andrzej Michal Koslowski to the show. Andrzej, it's wonderful to see you again. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much for having me and this opportunity to speak about that nothing is set in stone and everyone can change. If there is a will, there is a way. And this opportunity for this beacon of light and hope for those that are still struggling is amazing. And thank you so much for that introduction. This is very big shoes to fill in, but I will do my best.
Well, thank you so much for being here today. And we had our conversation last week, and before we started this morning, very, very enlightening. I'm anxious for you to share with our audience. So to start with, could you share a little bit more about yourself and your business?
Well, I believe that the reason why I am here right now is because I made all the mistakes in the book. And eventually, those mistakes were labeled as experience, knowledge, and wisdom. But why it all started in the first place, I believe that I could see reality differently through different lenses. I could sense more, I could feel more, and I could hear more. So, as a kid, I came to the only possible explanation. I'm crazy and I need to be fixed. So, I started this search for Holy Grail, for something to make me whole. But the problem is, God doesn't make mistakes, neither does nature. We are here consciously to grow and learn about ourselves. So, my mission to make me whole again was futile. And that is actually one of the biggest challenges that I faced in my life. I was my biggest enemy, not only an opponent, but enemy. I was fighting myself at every possible situation. And once you fight yourself, the more fight you will be given, the more pushback you will be given, and the more friction you will receive. And that friction will create this internal heat within the body that many do label as burnout. And burnout is not something that you want to experience, especially as having your own business or having a job in corporate setting. So my journey was long, but I don't believe I'm anything special because all of us experience challenges, and that is a way for us to grow. Because if you ask God for strength, will He give you strength or will He give you opportunities for you to grow strong? I believe it's the latter. And right now, I think it's my role to pass the knowledge and wisdom to other people and to next generation is to plant those little seeds of knowledge so they can turn into trees with fruits of wisdom that could benefit the user of that knowledge.
Incredible thoughts. Thank you for sharing that. And so, through that, how do you define success today?
Let's start how I used to define when I started this journey. And the answer is I didn't. I allowed society to define it for me. And the thing about semantics or words in general is that it means only being famous, having tons of money, having a fantastic girlfriend that's only beautiful, and being all over the social media. And guess what? I got the money. Did it fix my issue? Absolutely no. I actually think that it amplified all the issues I have, and it led me to this existence full of grief and sadness and being fake, because I also used to be on corporate, and I had to do what they told me to do, think what they told me to think, and feel what they told me to feel. And although on a surface layer, I was very successful. I had real estate, I had some business on the side, I was popular with the ladies. Deep within, I was empty and I was shallow, and I just couldn't continue. So obviously, that definition of success wasn't worth it. And I need to let it go to make space for something that actually holds value. And what holds value for me right now is those moments where I don't have a care in the world, where I can embrace myself and live the way I want, with who I want, how many times I want, and wherever I want. The freedom is definition of success for me, to work from wherever I can with whoever I want. And hopefully I have achieved this success, and I'm super grateful for it each and every day.
Outstanding. Absolutely incredible message. And of course, the journey, and you've started to allude to this a little bit, it's not an easy journey to get to go from those past definitions to the current definition of success. So, what are one or two of those top challenges that you had and the lessons learned to pass along to our audience?
I believe that many of our colleagues in entrepreneur go to the world to execute their idea. They have low self-esteem. And well, we all have different challenges, but if you have been dealt with this card, if you're gonna work on it, increase it or decrease it, it doesn't really matter, because a person that is truly worthy doesn't think about it. It's like breathing for that person. And as a result, that are connected to the thoughts, I am not enough, I have to prove myself. But as a consequence, you will only be doing actions that are not worthy, that would affirm that you're not worthy. So it's like a never-ending loop, like a dog chasing its own tail. I was constantly trapped into this until I allowed myself to let go. I started deep within, asking myself questions on which layer of life it manifests. Does it manifest in my relationship? Am I worthy enough of this girl, or is she worthy enough of me? I noticed that there was this pattern. Am I worthy of having this person as a business partner? I noticed I had those thoughts, and it manifested on all of layers in my life, until all I could see is that I am not worthy. And that is exactly the stage where I was able to let it go, to the point it doesn't bother me at all. To summarize this, I can tell you an analogy about two fishes swimming in the lake, and out of nowhere, they have been approached by the fat fish, which asked them, how's the water today? And they responded, what's water? Because for them, it is natural. And once you have those limiting blocks, unfortunately, you will perceive reality through those limiting blocks. You could compare the mind to a computer. If there is a faulty program in the computer, no matter the input, the output will always be messy. So unfortunately, it all starts within, and what's around us is a result of our internal beliefs, thoughts, and emotion. So without cleaning what you have within, you will experience chaos. Something that I have been experiencing, from abuse to bullying to constantly worrying what other people think about me. And I could tell you that there is this holy grail that can make you whole or make you forget about that stuff, but it is not true. We're all different. And that means that the means to get to the end of the journey will be different as well. But one way is not worse than the other or better. You need to identify what works for you and stick with it, to the point that you allow yourself to let go of what was holding you back.
Outstanding. And so, if there was one tool that you think people should consider relative to finding that voice within that helps guide them to their enlightenment, to their success, what would that be?
Wouldn't necessarily call it a technique. I would call it a skill of awareness. And awareness is always number one ingredient, regardless if you want a happy relationship, a happy business, or just you want to thrive in life in general. If you, for example, would go on a car ride, but you wouldn't be conscious at all, you wouldn't look on the left or right, you wouldn't be aware of your surroundings. What else? You would be talking on the phone, maybe even coffee drinking, or maybe even shaving your face. Well, that is a recipe for disaster, this lack of awareness. And how you do one thing is how you do all things. So having no self-awareness in business or in life is generally a bad idea, and it is recipe for disaster. Many different philosophies, religions describe it differently across the world. It might be called Wu Wei, acting by not acting and allowing the life to unfold to you, or it might be called Vipassana, the art of observation, given to the people by Gautama Siddhartha called Buddha. And it's pretty much very simple, yet simple things are not easy. That is exactly why they are so hard to implement. And the basis of those techniques is basically to observe what's within. You can start with observing your breathing, and then you go deeper and deeper to the sensation that are in the body, because we always those things within us, the emotional baggage, our trauma, limiting beliefs, it's always with us. Wherever you go, you take yourself with you. So you better ensure that you have a good relationship with yourself, because if you're not, wherever you go, that bad relationship will follow. And the people will perceive you through those lenses that he fights himself, so let's give him a fight. And you will just attract bad situations because internally you're not coherent, you're not authentic, and you're constantly fighting yourself. So it all starts with awareness. And this is the secret ingredient to anything in life, even in changing very basic things like habits. If you can stop yourself from that trigger that triggers the event that you want to quit, that's a fast key, the cornerstone for changing that and the foundation of your success. And brick by brick, you will be able to build a beautiful castle for your soul to live.
Outstanding. We could probably carry this conversation on for a long time, but I'm going to shift us to the next topic, innovation. What do you consider innovation in your life and your business?
I don't necessarily believe that you can keep with this innovation process constantly. If you, for example, observe Apple, who used to be this golden kid of innovation, it seems they don't innovate nothing at all these days. And it's about balance. Innovation is like inhaling, and being in balance is exile. And you cannot only inhale, that would lead you to death ultimately. So there needs to be balance when you expand, but there also need to be phases when you go retract. So what we do in our business, as everyone else, we did jump the AI train because there are so many benefits to it, especially when it comes to automating and streamlining the back office jobs. I believe there is huge, huge value because ChatGPT nowadays is my favorite friend. He always talk nice to me. He doesn't he doesn't argue with me. He always says good things, and he always has things to say when you ask it the right way. So I'm referring to prompt engineering. And these days, AI is changing the landscape, not only of the business, but all of our life so fast that it's going to be hard to keep up, especially if you're not learning those skills, to the point that there is this saying statistic that in 5 years, most of AI will be able to replace 70 people on the workforce.
Yes.
And that itself is very frightening statistics. Some people like to counterbalance it, saying that you might not lose the job to AI, but most likely you will lose the job to someone with AI skills. So there needs to be balance, as with in everything. You cannot always innovate new stuff, but you cannot really not focus on it as well. If life is a journey or a river, you want to sail through the middle, not getting stuck with extremes from one side to another, and that would allow you to enjoy life to the fullest. If you go from one extreme to another extreme, hitting rocks from left to the right, well, guess what? You're not going to enjoy the ride at all. You're going to be very anxious, very stressed, and you would want the journey to finish as soon as possible. Now, I know because I'm speaking from my own experience. I have done it for so much, for so long, that I believe that this is the only way to live. And it is like this traumatic event that all of us have is like this little dark box that we hide deep within our body to never find again. But we always have it, and we're just afraid to open it. But it impacts our greatly. It's like having an invisible nail in our foot that we cannot see and we cannot take out. And as a consequence, it will affect how we walk, dragging our feet behind us, limping. And as another consequence, there will be a layer of the mind stating that, well, this is how humans walk. This is perfectly normal. This is healthy. And in fact, there is something very fishy about those that do not drag their feet behind them. So being attached to one thing or another always leads to pain. Unfortunately, it became a new norm. We are so bombarded with information from every direction. I believe there's 74 gigabytes of information that we are forced to process each day. It is literally like there would be a person next to you talking constantly for 12 hours a day, to the point that you don't know what's real and what's not real.
Absolutely. And so from that, what I would add is it really requires filtering and focus. What's most important to you in your business, and focus on those items and filter those other things out. Because it's so easy to become overwhelmed or to chase the shiny object, which can distract us from our true purpose and mission.
Absolutely. And people always have this tendency to think that the grass is greener on the other side. And the grass is green where you water it.
I love that. I love that. Final takeaway for our audience. If there's one thing that you say you really must consider as part of your life and business success, what would that be?
All flowers bloom in due time. So the flower doesn't think when to bloom. When it's ready, it's ready. And just because your time haven't arrived yet, it doesn't mean it won't arrive in the future. Have faith in yourself, in your actions, in what you do. Praise that in business there will be seasons. As there are seasons growing up, your business might be in a stage that it is just a toddler, then it would be a teenager, and eventually you will see some return on investments. Just embrace the nature of change, that nothing lasts forever, and you also will be able to walk with your head high with a successful business.
Outstanding. What a wonderful message. Thank you so much for joining us today, with a special thank you to Andrzej Michal Koslowski for sharing his insights and success tactics. We hope you feel inspired and motivated to tackle entrepreneurial challenges with innovation and adaptability. Remember, success is personal. Define it for yourself. But remember, always embrace change, seek growth, and adapt to the ever-evolving business landscape. Thanks again to Andre and to all of our listeners, and we'll see you next time as we continue exploring more stories from incredible entrepreneurs. Stay resilient, stay innovative, and have a wonderful day, everyone.